Hello, my name is Doug Leisure. I wanted to record this video to try to help you um, move your data from an older version of my donation software into the new 2024 version that I just released. So let's go through some of the steps, and I guess let's start with if you open up your old version, I just wanted you to know that you can use my menu. If you type in the letter V, and hit the OK, it will tell you what version you're currently running. So if you're on the 2022 version released last year, you should see version 5.00 or later, and the date could be as old as November of 2021. So anything newer than that, and then you're on the 2022 version or above. And it's pretty simple in those versions, 2022 or 2023 version, pretty simple to move it over to the new 2024 version, because a lot of the structures are the same. So the first demonstration I'm going to do is showing you how to do that with version 2022. All right, so what we're going to do is we're going to stop. We're going to just simply close down this version, and then let's talk about the steps to go through in migrating from your older version to the new one. After I finish with the 2022, I will go back to a much older 2020 version and show you what that looks like as well. But let's do the 2022 and beyond, because 2022 or 2023, because it's actually pretty simple. All right, I'm going to go ahead and shut this down. And what I think you want to do first is go ahead and download my new version into the same folder where you had your current data. So I'm presuming that we are partway through the year 2024. We've already done some donations and or expenses, and we want to take that data as well as our donor information, all of our data that we need, and migrate it into the new 2024 version. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to actually start by extracting the data out of the old one. So let's go ahead and open that up. Again, this is the old version first. We open it up. We're not doing a donation, so we just cancel here. We get the thing telling us how to get the custom menu, but we're not doing anything with the custom menu, so just cancel out of there. So one of the first pieces of data we need are going to be your list of donors. All right. Now, the trick I'm going to suggest is that you go ahead and open up an empty Excel file. So I just chose a blank workbook. All right. So let's separate these just a little bit. So this is the blank one. This is my old version. All right, and so what we're going to do is we're going to take the data out of here, the donor information, take it over here to this blank one and paste it in. And now what I typically do is I normally do a normal paste. That brings the information in the format over, but sometimes depending on what's in here, if it's a cell formula, it still is linked back to the old file name, and I don't want that to happen. So I usually do the paste twice. The normal paste followed by the paste values. All right, and we can go ahead and actually, just to help us, we can actually rename the tab down here that this is our donors, and we'll make a new tab. Okay, from there we want to go over and pick up another piece of information, our historical donor or donations. We'll go over here to the annual tab, and again we are saying that we've already started working in year 2024. So there'll be multiple years of data back here. and all we care about is the 2024 data. But first, I'm so sorry, first we want to go to the 5-year report. And this is actually extremely helpful here for us to get the historical information for anything older than 2024. Because what we want to do is we want to move over these annual amounts, these totals from the prior years, so that we can continue to build our 5-year comparison. So we care about not all, but most of the old data. So let's take this information, starting with the year and going down, and let's take it over to this tab. And again, we'll paste first, and then we'll paste values. All right. Now, to be honest, we're going to move our 2024 data over in detail, so we don't really need this row of data. Okay, let's go pick up our information from the annual tab. And as I'm suggesting, now since I have those annual totals, all I care about here is the 2024 data. So let's go ahead and do this little trick. We're going to unprotect this tab. So that's review, unprotect, and now I can change it. I'm going to go to the data and I'm going to sort it. And we're going to sort by the date. And we are going to do the oldest to the newest. So the old data is going to be on top. The new data is going to be on the bottom. Okay. Now let's get our titles here. Come over here and we'll paste in the titles. Remember, I'm doing it twice. And then we're going to we're paste and then paste values. And now let's come back and let's find our data for that's starting in 2024. All right, so that's where it begins. Goes down here till row 74. Come over here to the last column. This is the data we want to move over into our new version. Copy that. Come over here and we're going to do the same thing. Paste and then paste values. Okay. Now if you're using the donation only version of the software, this is really all we really, oh, I'm sorry, that we're almost there. We still need the parameters. Let's name this. This is our annual tab data, right? Sorry, we still need the parameters no matter what. The difference would be if you're not using the donations and expenses, you won't have any of the expense information here. But I'm going to suggest we do kind of a similar thing here. Let's make a new tab. And let's just simply take all of our parameters, at least down through our funds or our categories, right? So we'll just copy that, come back over here, paste, followed by paste values. All right, so those are our parameters. Let's go ahead and name that. All right, again, if you're using the donation only, that's all the information we need to bring over. If you're using the expense version, the one that tracks expenses as well, then you will have some additional information. So let's take our opening balance. Sorry, let's get a new tab first. Another new tab. Let's get our opening balance information. And then let's get our expense and deposit information. We're going to go ahead and start here. And we we actually only need to go through the payment and deposit columns. We don't need the other ones over to the right. So starting with our check number down through deposit, take all of that and copy that. Come over here, we'll paste again twice. Regular paste followed by the paste values. All right, that is the extent of the information that we need to move into the new version. And again, what I've done is just simply copied it out of the old one over to this empty workbook so that I can then migrate it into the new version. Let's go ahead and rename this one as our expenses. Okay, don't close this one down. Go back to the old one, the original version that you had been working on, and close that down. No, we don't need to save anything. Large amount of data, yeah, who cares? That doesn't matter. Okay, let's go back to the folder that we were working in. All right, this is our church folder, and I'm just showing you what this would look like if you had been using a version 2022 or 2023. Okay, so this is the one that we had all of our data in. We extracted it into this empty, this generic workbook. Okay, and now we're ready to move it into here. Let's first go ahead and rename this one because this is no longer the one we want to be working on. I don't know where you want to put it, at the end or at the beginning. This is our old version. And I would say once the new one's up and working correctly, we'll probably just delete this, but I would probably hang on to it for maybe a week or two or three until you are comfortable that the new one is working perfectly fine. But let's rename it so there's no confusion. Now we'll take the new one that you downloaded and let's start to configure it for your church. So we'll go ahead and rename it, whatever your church name is. Rename it, and we'll open up now the new version. All right. Hey, if you have not seen it yet, I did create an entire video that goes through in quite a bit of detail the steps that are necessary to take my 2024 version. Once I email it to you, how to set it, how to install it, and configure it for your church. There's a lot of good information in there. I'm not going to go through all of the details of all of the different parameters in this video because I'm really focused on migrating your old data into this new version. But you probably want to check out that video as well. Okay, I've opened up the new one. I do need to enable the contents so I can work with it. Yes, it's my first time working with this new one. I understand that. But we are not doing a donation date, so we'll just cancel out of there. All right, I'm going to suggest that we kind of go backwards through the same things we did, starting with our donors. So let's come back to this file, to our donors. We don't need the titles across the top, but we do need the donor names and addresses if you have those in there. And we'll come over here and we'll just replace those. Now the important thing, the prior version probably did not have this thing about, sorry, depending on which version, you may or may not have had this thing, print the receipts, yes or no. So if you did not have it in your version, walk your way down through here and set up the answer to that question. Do I want to print the receipts for these people, yes or no? And it could be as simple as just saying yes to everybody except for your loose offering or your anonymous donations. Okay, so that's what we need to do to the donor tab. Let's go over to the annual tab. I'm going to remind you again that most of the tabs, other than the donor tab, most of the tabs are protected. So in order for me to be able to put new information into here from the older version into here, I'm going to have to unprotect it. So I'll go to Review, Unprotect, and now we're free to paste our information from the old one into the new one. Let's go to the annual tab. Now, since we had some older years of history, what we want to do is we want to start with those older years. So 23, 22, 21. So I'm going to suggest that we use the date that is the end of the year. So 12/31/2023, 12/31/2022. Oh, if I could just type 12/31 of 2022, 12/31 of 2021. So those are the years. We don't care about donor numbers, but we do want to identify that this is an annual total for year 2023. So I would say just something like that would work just fine as far as a description. And now we want our totals. Now, there's typically a gap between your categories and the specials. So we're going to do it in two chunks. And I'm sorry, the data I'm playing with is kind of demonstration data. So in yours, this is going to be all zeros. There wouldn't ever be anything filled in these empty funds. So please ignore that. So just take your donation categories, copy that and bring it over here and paste it into your funds. So sorry. We only have 3 funds here. We better do some of the parameters first. So sorry about taking out of order. Let's go back and let's do our parameters first, and that way we'll have the same categories, same number of categories. We had better do that one first. All right. I did, in the new version, I did reorder a lot of the parameters, try to put them in a logical order, so they're not going to exactly match up. So we're going to have to be just a little bit careful. Now the year and the church name, those church name and address, those should match up just fine. Actually, the year is a drop-down list. Let's just take the church address and bring it over here. Let's see, these ones aren't in the old version, so let's come back to the next thing we care about, the receipt footer. That would go over under receipts and the footer, so we put that in here. A report footer. Reports, the report footer, that would be here. Prefix for your donation backup file. If you have one there, you could move that over. There's a prefix under the way at the top. The prefix is over here, so you could either leave this one here or bring yours over. The other thing you might want to do then is look at some of the other parameters, like if you're doing landscape or you're doing weekly reporting, and just match those up between the new version and the old version. One of the important things, if you're doing expenses, will be whether or not you want to do subcategories. And down here under expenses, we do have, are you using subcategories, yes or no? So make sure you match that one up. And then the really important one, how many categories are you using and what are their names? So let's make sure we move those over. And once we do that, now we can use the donation software menu and adjust tabs from parameters. And what this is going to do is going to match up the number of categories you have, unhiding all of the appropriate columns and rows that it needs to match up with that. Okay, now that we've done that, now we can come back to the annual and we have our same matching columns. I suspect that it probably, when we use that menu option, it probably protected this column or this tab again. So let's just go to review and oh no, look, it's still unprotected. So we're good. Never mind, we're still good. Okay, annual, and what did we put in our data for these years, but we didn't put in the specials. Or let's put in the specials then. And that would be right here. Oops, sorry, let's do the paste values. All right, so now we have, sorry, I didn't move over these totals. So sorry, did not move over these totals because they didn't have the same number of columns. So let's get that data in paste special values. All right, this gives us our history for years 2021, 2022, and 2023. And now we're going to put in our 2024 data in detail. So we'll come over here down to the bottom part. We're just going to do a similar thing where we grab the date through our last category. So for us it's benevolence. We'll just grab that data back here and we will paste it in paste values. Let's go pick up our specials starting at the first row, and let's go ahead and do actually we can take all of this data, specials, all the way over to the end. Copy that over, starting with the specials. Paste values. Okay, and because we have the same columns and the same order to the columns, that's why it's pretty easy for us to bring over this historical data. All right, so we've done the donors, the annual information, we have done the parameters, and if you're using the donation only version, then you're done. Go ahead and protect the sheet and save your changes. You're done. Now if you're using the version that also tracked expenses, let's go take a quick look at that. Oh, sorry, the expenses. All right, so we need our opening balance. Let's go back to where we brought over our expense data. Opening balance, paste values, and then we need our deposit and expense information. So come back here. Remember, we only brought the check number or deposit information through the payment deposit columns. So let's take all of that and copy it. Come back over to the new version. We're going to do a paste values. And we get this little warning, hey, it's going to insert a lot of rows into your table. Yes, that is okay. That's what we wanted to do, paste that information in. So it'll go into the yellow cells. The blue cells are cell formulas that automatically do what they're supposed to. And so now we have all of our data that we brought over then from the old version, all of the expense data. So with the expenses, we probably want to go ahead and go up here to the donation software and refresh the expense report. That'll take the data we pasted in and recreate your income expense report. All right, that is everything we need to do to move the data over. If you're using version 2022 or 2023, what it takes to move it into the new 2024 version. So again, save all of the changes we made, because that's really good stuff. We want to save it, shut it down, and now we no longer need this empty workbook that we use to move the data back and forth. So just exit and don't save. All right, now you're ready for using the new 2024 version. Going forward, you have all your history that you need in there, and you're ready to roll. If you're using one of the older versions, 2021, 2020, 2019, all the way back to 2016 or earlier, you might need some of my help to move the data over. I'm going to go ahead and I have a version of that older stuff. Let's go ahead and just take a quick look at what it would look like to move that data over. It's pretty similar, but let's take a look at it. Same concept. We want to move our the very newest version down into the same folder. We want to start by opening the old one, and we're going to extract the data that we need out of there. Alright, so we're not doing a donation entry, so just cancel here. Okay, we don't need the menu right now. Actually, that's not true. Let's do the menu, and same thing, let's do the letter V and take a look at our version. Yeah, so this is from way back at the beginning of 2020. Okay. Alright, same concept. We're going to make we're going to just open up an empty worksheet, a workbook. Let's go ahead and slide these things around a little bit so that the empty one is on the left. Our data is here on the right. Okay, same thing, starting with the donors. If you have address in there, you want to grab it as well, but let's go ahead and take all of this over, paste it in. Alright, and this will be our donors. New tab here, and let's pick up our annual information. Alright, we'll do the same thing as we did before. We'll paste it twice. So now in the older versions, you only ever have a single year of data. So I don't need to do that thing where I sorted it so that I can pick up 2024 data only. The older versions will only have 1 year of data. So we're going to take all of the 2024 data, and we'll do that same thing, paste and paste values. And this is the information from our annual tab. Okay, one more, and this will be our parameters. Not a lot of parameters back in the earlier days, so we'll bring those over, paste, just in case we'll do a paste values as well. Right, what else? Oh, okay, so if you're doing the donation only version, you're done extracting your information. If you have the version that did expenses as well, then we'll go ahead and go get that. Let's name this one. And let's add another tab then for our expenses. Alright, same concept. If you had expenses, then you'll want your opening balance information. Paste special. And then you'll want the income and expense information. We're going to start with the check number or deposit, going over through payment deposit, but not the last column. Just down through column F, the deposit column. So take all of that data and copy it. Same thing, paste and paste values. And that would be the expenses. Okay, we are done with the versions you're currently using. Let's shut that down. No, we don't need to save it. Yes, there's a lot of data on the clipboard. I don't care. All right, back to our folder for a quick second. And this is where we would rename the current one. And then take the new one that you just downloaded and let's make it your church name. We will open it up and same kind of a thing. We'll get the same similar. Oh, we do need to enable content that allows the macros to run. First time using it, so we will click OK there. We don't need a date because we are not doing a donation. We're just preparing it for donations, so we'll cancel that. All right, much as we did in the prior demonstration of doing this, we're going to start with the donors. So come back here to our list of donors and we'll move that over. Paste values would work. And again, this is where you have to take a look at this and decide which ones do we want to create a receipt for. Probably a very similar thing where everybody gets a receipt except for your loose offerings or your anonymous donations. But take a look at your donor list and make that decision who gets a receipt and who doesn't. All right, before we do the annual tab, we should go ahead and do the parameters, because it's in the parameters that we learn what, or we set up the donation categories that we need. So we'll take the church address, church name and address. We'll move that over. We had a receipt footer, receipt footer. We'll drop that in here. Go ahead and take a look at your orientation for your various reports or receipts, the number of rows that you want in the entry tab, the default rows, the default checks. Match those things up accordingly. Again, in the older version there were not a lot of parameters, so just make sure you match up these things correctly. And then we'll come back and we'll need to definitely do our donation categories. Now, in the older version, the donation categories actually came over just simply on the entry tab and the annual tab. So what we're going to do is we're going to take the donation categories, not the specials, just the other categories. We're going to copy those. We'll come over here to the side and we'll do a paste transpose. So we're just taking these categories, transposing them so they're now, instead of being horizontal, they're vertical. We can copy those down here to our categories, paste special, and then that'll just put our categories here. And then because we are using 4 of them, we just have to match that up and say, hey, we're using 4 categories. All right. Again, look at all of your other information here to match that up correctly. If you are doing the donations only, then you will need to slide all the way down to the bottom here. And I did intentionally put it way out of the way If you're doing donations only, then you want to come down here to this parameter and switch that to say, hey, that's I'm only doing donations. The version that I'll send out to you will be donations and expenses, but if you're only doing donations, switch it here to the donations only. And then let's go ahead and use the donation software menu, adjust the tabs based on our parameters. And that'll go through and adjust all of the different tabs. And now if we come to the annual tab, we do have the right columns in here matching up our donation categories. Okay, as I said, in the much older versions, you only ever had a single year of data. So if you've been using it for multiple years, you may want to go ahead and put in older the totals from prior years, just so you can start to build that 5-year comparison. You'll have to just go back to your older versions and look up the annual totals. From the best way to do that would be from your report, and just pick off that total row at the bottom. Move those values over into this new version, and I would just say you do the same kind of a thing. Let's see, we do need to unprotect it so we can start to type and stuff in here. But go ahead and for the old data, go ahead and just give it a year of 12/31, and if we're doing like the 2023, right, give it that year, an annual total here, and then move those total year total amounts over into here, as well as your specials. Don't worry about anything else beyond that. Just get the total amounts for the year for your donation categories and for the specials. All right. Now, once we've and you can fill this stuff in later if you want to, but just the idea of having, if you've used it for many years, you probably want to fill that in so that you can build a good 5-year comparison report. All right, come back here, and what we're going to do is to take the donation information, the details here. We're going to do the same thing. We're just going to go over through the last category. We'll pick up the specials separately, so that's why I'm doing it this way. Over here and paste values, and so what you'll see is the as far as the order of things line up pretty well, date through your last category, but then there's a big gap and your specials start. So we'll go back and pick up the specials and the total. We're not going to do well, let's see, do we have no, the order changes after that. We don't want the months, we just want the specials through the totals. Specials, the name of the special, and the totals, and that will go right here. Paste values. All right, again, if you're doing donations only, that is the only information we need to move over. If you're doing expenses, then we'll go take a quick look at that. Protect the sheet, save it, and if you're doing donations only, you're done. If you're doing donations and expenses, let's take a quick look at that. All right, our opening balance, we'll paste that in. You do want to make sure that the opening balance that you brought over is the balance for the year 2024, that it is a correct opening balance for the beginning of this year 2024. So you might need to go back to your bank statements and validate that. All right, and then this information we can take as is, the deposit, the check number deposit identifier here through our payments and our deposit columns. We'll copy that, we'll bring it over here, and we're going to do a paste values. We'll get the little message from Excel. Yes, we want to insert. So we'll insert those values in there. And let's go ahead and do the donation software. Refresh the expense report. All right. See, is there anything else we missed? Yes. Sorry, one thing related to the expenses. You do want to make sure that you match whether or not you are doing categories and subcategories. That is a parameter on the new version. Down to expenses. Will we use subcategories in addition to categories? So we're using both categories and subcategories, so we make that a yes. All right, something you didn't have in the older versions. When I am doing my donation entry, do I want those donations, those deposits, automatically copied over into the expense tab? I think just about everybody would want to do that, but you do have control over that through the yes or no. And then some information if you are copying it over, what word do you want to put there in this first column. Do you want to put the word deposit or something else there? You have control of that on the parameters. And the category used for your donations when they get copied over. What do you want to put in the category? The subcategories will match your donation categories, but what do you want to put in the category? So you have control over both of those words. All right, that is everything that you should need to know for migrating your data from an earlier version of my donation software or donations and expenses into this new 2024 version. Please reach out to me if you have any questions about this, and I will include my email address in the link. Well, actually, I don't need to do that because we gave you a menu option here to get my contact information, and we included it at the bottom of the parameters tab here. So email me, call me, reach out if you have questions or problems with this. Okay, that's everything I wanted to cover, so thank you.